You always try to be good for everyone. You smile when you want to cry. You say yes when you want to say no. You bend and break to avoid conflict. You believe this is love. But it is not love. It is submission. The voice inside you is not your own. It is the superego. Freud called it the inner tyrant. It judges you without mercy. It demands perfection, says you must be good, good enough for everyone else. So you lose yourself. You forget what you want. You lose your true voice. You become a shadow of who you are. You walk on eggshells. Fear of rejection controls you. You live for others' approval, and that approval is never enough. You try harder. You push yourself beyond limits. But the harder you try, the more lost you feel. You think if you please them, you will be safe. But you are trapped instead. Your peace is sacrificed. Your joy is postponed. You are a prisoner of expectations. Your mind is crowded with overthinking. You analyze every word, every gesture, every silence. You wonder, did I do enough? Did I say the right thing? Will they like me? This constant mental noise drains you. It fuels your anxiety. You can't find rest because your superego is relentless. It never stops judging, never stops doubting. It becomes a cruel taskmaster, a tyrant in disguise. But you are not your superego. You are more than the critic inside. You have a voice waiting to be heard, a voice longing to speak its truth. That voice is your true self. But you must listen. You must learn to detach. Detach from others' expectations. Detach from toxic relationships. Detach from situations that drain you, because without detachment you lose boundaries. Boundaries are walls, not prisons. They protect your energy. They preserve your soul. Without them you give too much. You lose your power, and you get lost in other people's lives. This happens often in relationships. When love becomes codependency. When giving becomes sacrificing. When care becomes control, you forget to care for yourself. You forget your needs, and your identity fades. This is where anxiety grows, because your mind is overthinking everything, worrying if you are enough, fearful of being abandoned. You become stuck in a loop, a mental prison of what ifs. What if I'm not good enough? What if they leave? What if I fail? This loop drains your spirit. It steals your clarity and your ability to act. Discipline is misunderstood here. It is not punishment. It is not self-flagellation. True discipline is self-love. It is choosing what nourishes you and saying no to what harms you. Discipline builds your boundaries. It teaches you to protect your time, your energy, your heart. With discipline, you learn to prioritize, to focus on your growth, your values, your peace. You stop bending to please. You start standing firm for yourself. People may resist. They may try to pull you back. But you have changed. You have learned to say no. And that is powerful. Because true power is in choice, not in control, not in manipulation, but in authenticity, in showing up as who you are. And that brings freedom. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from overthinking. You no longer seek constant approval, because you approve of yourself. You no longer fear rejection, because you love yourself first. You walk your own path, with courage, with clarity, with peace. This is the journey of becoming. The journey Freud warned about. The journey where the superego loses its tyranny, and your true self rises. This is your path to awakening, to true self-love, to freedom. Remember, pleasing everyone means losing yourself. Stop being good for others. Start being true to you. You wake up tired before the day begins. Your mind races even before your feet touch the floor. The weight of expectations presses on your chest. You try to push it away with busy schedules, with endless calls, messages, meetings. You fill your time to avoid the silence where your true feelings wait. You fear what you might find there. Anxiety creeps in like a shadow. You feel restless, uneasy, out of control. Your thoughts spiral like a storm. What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if they leave me? Your heart pounds in your ears. Sleep is restless, filled with worry. This is overthinking at its worst. A battle between your mind and your peace. You want to stop, but the noise won't let you. You analyze every word you said, every look, every silence, every moment. You replay conversations searching for clues, trying to fix what might be broken. You seek certainty in uncertainty, but certainty is an illusion, and this endless mental loop drains you. You feel trapped in your own mind, like a hamster on a wheel. No progress, only exhaustion. This is the cost of ignoring your inner voice, the voice telling you to slow down, to be kind to yourself, to stop chasing perfection. You forget that emotions are signals, not enemies to fight. Anxiety is a message, a signal of danger to your psyche. It asks for attention, not punishment. It cries for understanding, not control. When you listen, you begin to heal. You learn to breathe through the fear, to sit with discomfort without running away, to welcome uncertainty with courage. This is emotional wisdom. It takes practice. It takes patience. And yes, sometimes it hurts, but it frees you. You start to see anxiety as a teacher, not a tyrant. You begin to calm the storm inside. You create space for peace, for growth. You learn to be your own safe place, not dependent on others' approval, not chained to impossible standards. You reclaim your mind, your heart, your life. And in this space, clarity blooms. You see what truly matters, what feeds your soul, what drains your energy. You learn to detach from toxic expectations, from relationships that suffocate you, from situations that confuse you. Detachment isn't coldness. It's self-preservation. It's respect for your boundaries. It's choosing peace over chaos. You stop trying to control outcomes. You accept what you cannot change, and you focus on what you can. Your thoughts become tools, not traps. Your emotions become guides, not enemies. You learn to discipline your mind gently, to redirect your focus, to cultivate calm. This discipline is a gift of self-love, and it transforms your life. Because when your mind is steady, your heart is free, and freedom is the beginning of joy. You used to think discipline meant punishment, a harsh rule to follow without question, a chain binding you to endless shoulds. But true discipline is different. It is not a jailer, it is a guardian, a protector of your energy. It is the act of choosing yourself, choosing what serves your growth, and saying no to what drains you. Discipline means waking up and deciding to honor your limits, to protect your time, to guard your peace. It means setting boundaries firmly, not out of anger or fear, but out of love for yourself. It means no longer sacrificing your needs for the approval of others. Discipline is self-respect in action. When you practice it, anxiety loosens its grip, because you stop reacting to every external demand. You stop bending like a reed in the wind. Instead, you stand tall like a tree, rooted in your values, grounded in your purpose. You learn to prioritize, to focus on what truly matters, not on distractions or people-pleasing. Discipline helps you manage your emotions. You learn to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding, to choose calm over chaos. This builds resilience, a strength that grows with every small decision. It is not easy at first. Your old habits resist. Your mind protests the change. But you keep going. You remind yourself why you started. Because your well-being is worth it. Because your peace is priceless. Let me tell you about Alex. Alex was a chronic people pleaser. Always saying yes. Always running to fix others. Ignoring his own needs. He felt exhausted, anxious, and lost. One day he decided to change. He began setting small boundaries. Saying no to invitations that overwhelmed him. Taking time for himself each day. At first, friends complained. Some felt rejected. But Alex stayed firm. He felt calmer. His anxiety eased. He rediscovered his joy. He started living for himself. That is the power of discipline. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself. When you live this way, you attract healthier relationships. Because you show others how to treat you. You teach by example. You become a magnet for respect, and respect begins with self-respect. Discipline is the bridge between anxiety and peace, between chaos and clarity, between losing yourself and finding your way. It is the one step that changes everything. You have spent so much time trying to be what others want. You say yes even when you want to say no. You hide your feelings to keep peace. You think it's love, but it's not. It's losing yourself. The voice inside you is drowned out by others. You listen to that inner tyrant, the superego. It demands you be perfect. Never make mistakes. Always please. But pleasing everyone comes at a cost. Your peace. Your identity. Your joy. You wake up feeling exhausted. Your mind races with worries about others' opinions. You question every word you say, every choice you make. You overthink constantly. What if I'm not good enough? What if I upset them? What if I lose them? The anxiety builds like a storm inside. It's overwhelming. You try to push it away with busyness, with distractions, but it returns louder each time. You are trapped in a cycle of people-pleasing and fear. Your boundaries disappear. You lose sight of who you really are. This is not your fault. It is the power of the superego running wild. It can become a tyrant, but you can break free. You can learn to detach. Detach from others' expectations, from toxic relationships that drain you, from situations that confuse and exhaust you. Detachment is not rejection. It is protection. It is respect for your own energy. When you detach, you create space. Space to hear your true voice. Space to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are shields that protect your soul. Without boundaries, you give too much. You lose your power. And you lose yourself. You become a shadow living in others' lives. This often happens in love. When care turns into codependency. When giving becomes sacrificing. When love feels like losing. You forget to love yourself. You forget your needs. And anxiety grows. Because your mind is stuck in overthinking. You worry endlessly. What if they don't like me? What if they leave? What if I fail? This loop traps you in fear. It steals your clarity, your peace, and your freedom. But there is hope. You can learn discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-love in action. It means choosing what nourishes you and saying no to what harms you. Discipline helps you set boundaries to protect your time, your energy, your heart. With discipline, you stop bending to please others. You stand firm in your truth. You focus on your growth, your values, your peace. People may resist your change. Some may complain or try to pull you back. But you have chosen yourself. And that is powerful. Because true power lies in choice. Not control. Not manipulation. But authenticity. Showing up as who you really are. That brings freedom. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from overthinking. You no longer seek approval. Because you approve of yourself. You no longer fear rejection. Because you love yourself first. You walk your own path. With courage. With clarity. With peace. This is the journey of becoming. Where the superego loses its tyranny. And your true self rises. This is your path to awakening. To real self-love. To freedom. Remember, pleasing everyone means losing yourself. Stop being good for others. Start being true to you. You've been taught that being good means being agreeable. That love means self-sacrifice. That kindness means silence. That harmony means never saying no. But here's the truth. The more you live for others, the less you live for yourself. And slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, your identity fades. You become the version of you they like. The one who doesn't complain. The one who's always available. The one who puts their needs last. At first you feel accepted, validated, even loved. But then the cracks begin to show. You start feeling resentful, exhausted, unseen. Because deep down you know you're not being real. You're performing, wearing a mask. And the mask becomes heavier with time. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You agree with things you don't believe. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong. You become a shapeshifter, constantly adjusting to others. You think this keeps you safe, but what it actually does is kill your spirit. Let me tell you about Mia. She was the nice girl, always helpful, always smiling. She stayed late at work, picked up friends from the airport, remembered birthdays. But no one asked how she was. No one noticed when she cried alone. And even when she was breaking inside, she said, "I'm fine," because she thought being loved meant never being a burden. One day she realized something chilling. No one really knew her. They loved the version of her that she had constructed to please them, not the real her. That's when she started to wake up. When you live your life trying to be liked, you'll never feel loved. Because the love isn't for you. It's for the image you present. And deep inside, that disconnect creates anxiety. Because part of you is screaming to be seen. But you silence it. You smile through the pain. You call it strength. But it's suppression. And suppression breeds anxiety. Freud said the superego becomes a tyrant. That's exactly what's happening. Your internal voice isn't just self-critical. It's merciless. It punishes you for having needs. It shames you for setting boundaries. It whispers, "You're selfish. You're too much. Keep quiet or they'll leave." But the truth is, people who love you conditionally never loved you fully. And love that costs your identity is too expensive. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to have needs. You're allowed to say no. But saying no when you've said yes your whole life is terrifying. The fear of conflict, of rejection, of abandonment, keeps you locked in the pattern. That fear was planted early, maybe by a parent who withdrew love when you spoke up. Maybe by a friend who ghosted you when you asserted yourself. Your brain learned, stay agreeable, stay safe. And now, even as an adult, your nervous system panics at the idea of confrontation. So you shrink. You accommodate. You betray yourself quietly daily. And your anxiety grows louder. Not because you're broken, but because your soul is starving for authenticity. That's what anxiety often is, your soul trying to get your attention. Trying to say, This version of you is not who you really are. It's hard to listen, because self-betrayal is comfortable, familiar, and authenticity feels risky. But the cost of staying small is greater than the risk of being real. So how do you begin? You start by noticing when you lie to yourself. When you say yes with your mouth but no with your body. When you smile while your gut twists. When you comfort others but abandon yourself. That awareness is the first rebellion. Then you start practicing truth in small ways. You say, I need time to think. You say, I'm not comfortable with that. You say, no, and your body will shake. Your heart will pound. But every time you do, you come home to yourself. You reclaim a piece of you. This isn't selfish. It's sacred. You stop outsourcing your worth. You stop hustling for love. You start building a relationship with yourself. One based on honesty, respect, compassion. You learn to trust your own voice again. You become someone you can count on. And that changes everything. Because once you trust yourself, the need to please fades. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need to like you. And when you show up authentically, the right people will stay. The ones who value your truth, not your performance. This is the quiet revolution, where you stop being good for everyone else and start being whole for yourself.